Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rising Right podcast. I'm your host today, Grady Rich, and I am not with my friend again, Nectarius. He's fallen sick, but we do have a very special guest here, Jason from Wiretap Media. Jason, will you please introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, so I go by my Twitter handle or X handle is Wiretap Media, and we're basically a Canadian media outlet. We share Canadian news to the world, and we even touch on some international stuff as well. When things get spicy in the States and that sort of thing, when it relates to Canada, we try to talk about it. Our news media has been captured, so I felt the need that I felt that Canadians deserve some sort of honesty, so to speak, instead of this far left communist ideology that they pump out to the public.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like all of the Canadian news is super far left, correct?
Yeah, yeah. We got like there's rebel news, like they're on the right hand side, but and then there's True North Media. They're also right, but see, the thing is like they're not uh they're biased, right? So they're basically mouthpieces for the conservatives. And then on the left you have pretty much our national news agencies that all preach left ideology. So I try to remain in the middle, as best I can, and express what I perceive as the truth. And if that requires me attacking conservative politicians, and that's just what happens.
Yeah. So speaking of conservative politicians, do you think that Pierre is an actual conservative? Do you think he should be ousted and a new leader should come up? And what are your thoughts on Pierre and the Conservative Party right now?
Oh no, Pierre's not a conservative. Like anything with progressive in front of it is basically a 2000 liberal. They're not. It's basically your version of the Democrat Party. He's definitely not a conservative, and I don't think like replacing him is going to matter, because how these systems work in Canada is like these political parties are run by the bureaucracy, right? Like the alum and the people that invest into these parties, and I'm sure that happens in the States too. But I think it's more on a corporate basis in the States, and a lot of billionaires and stuff like that.
Correct.
It's through donations. But in Canada, it's just like it's basically an alum of Conservative Party people that decide whether you're going to run as a conservative or not. Like I have to apply to run in this riding to be a representative or an MP for this area, and if I want to run under the conservative banner, I have to apply to the Conservative Party. They have to approve that process. I can't just say I'm a conservative and run. Like I would have to run independent. And the problem is we what we really need here in Canada is we need a real conservative party. We need judicial reform to reflect more of what the United States has, and we also need government reform. So our parliament needs to be overhauled. It's crazy. Like people have this idea that there's one liberal party in Canada, and they're all pushing towards the same goal, and they're all controlled by the same people, man.
Well, I 100% agree. And so Pierre is a conservative. You want someone further right. That leads to my next question of what are your thoughts on the Dominion Society?
Oh, the Dominion Society. Well, I love their messaging. I love what they're doing. And they're holding our political representatives feet to the fire, because they're pushing very I guess in Canada it would be considered like a taboo topic, because they keep telling us we're a multicultural state, right? So, but it does hold our government accountable, and it's pushing the conservatives and other parties to start it to address some of our issues with immigration.
Hmm.
And we're seeing more and more scandals come up, like with the CBSA and their nonsense. Like as early as 2015, there's been reports of like compromised CBSA agents, and they've been burying it. So that's how we have like all this racketeering, these transnational drug pipelines, like everything Donald Trump said about fentanyl getting into the United States from Canada. That's all true. Like the problem is what our government does is when they have a crisis, they work together to kind of like bring down the public temperature. And they what they do is they alter stats by leaving out a number, or and they do this often. Like it's just like when we talk about like the women's women get paid less. Well, they leave out important details like women work less, and like they didn't include maternity leave. Well, in Canada they do this kind of shit all the time to
Mm,
like fluctuate the numbers to make it look like it's less or more. And then like it's always just about like systematic control and about controlling public narrative, which is why we see a lot of these. I'm not sure how aware you are of like all these hate speech laws and
yep.
crazy totalitarian legislation that's being pushed through the House of Commons to control the way we speak. And it's because like people like me or you who are talking about these things and pushing the issue, they don't want it to be out in the public, right? So they're trying to suppress people through those means, and they're trying to do it through legislation, which is fucking nuts.
I think it's completely reasonable to question a lot of the things that go on in Canada. Like, I saw a video, I don't know exactly what MP it is, but it was an Indian who apparently has lived in Canada for over, like, I think close to 30 years. And his English was awful. It was like I could go pick up a preschooler anywhere in the States and be like, hey, write
Yeah,
down something and let me know. And they would speak
yeah.
better English than that. And, um, and it seems like this multiculturalism is really being pushed on Canadians and also all over the West and mainly white countries. How white was Canada, let's say in 1970?
Well, probably like 96%. Like back in the 70s, we would immigrate roughly like you'd be lucky if we had like 3,000 people get acceptance through immigration, you
Mm,
know.
wow.
So it's like we when you go from, even if you look at pre-COVID, pre-2015 when the Trudeau Liberals got in, I'm pretty sure the numbers were like 20, 30,000 people a year, you know. And then when you do a massive jump to a half a million you know like people who can sustain, because our immigration system's crazy, dude. So like we have like the temporary foreign worker, temporary students, and then refugees and asylum seekers, and then people seeking legitimate like citizenship through our immigration stream. And right now, like, with all of those combined, it's probably an estimated every year since probably 2019, about a million people have been getting into the country.
Wow. And
Yeah,
the-
like
and
it's
and
crazy.
to put that, if some of you don't know, Canada's population is still lower than California's. California
Yeah,
has a bigger population than Canada. So letting in a million people per year, that's completely unsustainable. And really, instead, I mean, I've always said this, instead of our government's focusing so much on immigration, they need to focus on just getting our birth rates up. If everything wasn't so expensive and, letting more people in makes things more expensive, especially housing, you
yeah,
deport every single person who shouldn't be here in America and Canada, dude, everyone would be able to afford a house. It'd be great.
yeah. Well, people would be able to afford a house, like work. A lot more people would have ability to not only work but also inject money back into the economy. Because
Mhm.
keep in mind, a lot of these people that come here, they come here for opportunity and send a lot of their money back home.
Yeah, to feed their families back in Bangladesh or India or wherever.
Exactly. So if we're looking at it from that angle, and our money's not even staying into our economy, and we're losing out on great opportunity to grow our economies because money's being shifted out of the country.
Mhm.
Like, how do you expect a country to have a healthy, growing, stable monetary system and an economic system if you have third world people coming into our country who don't actually respect our tradition or values? They keep on trying to tell us, oh, we don't have heritage. It's like, well, listen, if it wasn't for Europeans, there would be no Canada. It
Nope.
would, and same with the United States, right?
Mhm.
It would be a pile of mud. So
Yeah.
like it's like to sit there and say that we don't have heritage and that we came here and we were colonizers, we stole the land. Well, no, like, you know what, the first thing in a lot of things people don't talk about in Canada, especially with this narrative with like the native communities, not like our Indians, not the ones coming in,
Yep.
but so we call them aboriginals or
Mhm.
Native American. And I maybe Native Americans even insulting now, I don't know, but anyways, so the one of the things that people don't talk about is a lot of these tribes fought with the French and English against other tribes in order to sustain and settle the country. And like, and the first thing they did when we did give them weapons is they went and killed each other. So it's
Yep.
like, so
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And they're blaming white Europeans for feuds, like these were blood feuds, that these people had amongst one another,
Mhm.
and it's crazy. It's crazy to think, like, I don't know if you've heard about the land grabs now, like there's parts of Canada being like uh private property owners are losing their property to like native communities who, so like, I see by your face you don't know about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Inform us.
in British Columbia, the Cowichan tribe, they proved in a federal court that, and this is and keep and well, I'll get to this part, but which makes this even more fucked up is so they proved in a federal court that they used to occupy a piece of land along the Fraser, or one of the rivers in BC,
Okay.
and they were actually awarded that land back. So now the government has to pay them because there's a bunch of government property there. There's like ports and all this kind of stuff. So now the government has to pay them reparations for that property. And this is also impacting private homeowners. Like there's orchards there, like apple orchards, blueberry orchards, like there's all kinds of private real estate in
Mm.
the area. And it's now impacting them because in the court decision, it basically said the government has to settle those private property disputes on behalf of the owners. So like everything's up in the air. So anybody that wants to like sell their property can't sell their property because no one wants to buy a property that's, in kind of like holding, right? Like it's in escrow more or less.
Well, even then, you can't even represent yourself if the government's going to do it on your behalf.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it's
that,
like you don't even have a say in it.
but keep in mind, like, Canada, we're taxed through the gills. So who are
Yep.
they coming after for those reparations?
The
Right.
tax fare. Another carbon tax coming soon. Canadians, get
Yeah,
ready.
like it's going to be some sort of crazy, like, another Indian tax that we'll have to pay. Like we'll have to pay another 100 billion in reparations or something crazy, and they'll take it out of our hides. But this is what's crazy. So how they came to this court decision is the judge determined that this was like a legitimate legal deal because there was a general, or like a representative from the crown that made a verbal handshake agreement with the Cowichan tribe. And this is pre-federation, pre-constitution. So Canada didn't form until 1867. These deals were made 15 years prior.
Is there proof of this?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, like, is there proof of them making the deal?
But here's the thing is like it's just written text that one side said that as long as they remained peaceful, they wouldn't be killed, right? And they wouldn't be, and then, and that they could remain on their lands.
Okay.
But they use this as like a seasonal resort for like hunting and fishing. Like they didn't
Mm.
always go there. Like it's not like they lived there, right? They just came down, did some fishing, through the spring, went back up to, for the winter months, went back up into the mountains or wherever the fuck they're from. And then it's just been this one chaotic thing. So like here's my argument, like from a legal standpoint, one, taking a verbal agreement from 200 years ago is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, before you said before Canada was even like a nation, right?
Yeah, so we didn't even have laws, right? We didn't have a constitution. The constitution wasn't written until about 15 years later. Canada didn't form and create confederation till 1867, right? So it's like they're going based off of like we weren't even a country. So why is it that the Canadian taxpayer, that's the new country, now paying the price for an agreement that was made by like a general from the British Crown? It's fucking crazy, dude.
Well,
It doesn't make sense.
because you have to pay reparations, you white devil. That's why.
Yeah, well, that's another thing is like, and then you turn around. Now we have like, they since that win, all of Kelowna, BC, they've just submitted another claim for the like entire city of Kelowna. They
Hmm.
just put it in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Quebec, like all across the country. Now that they got this win and it's set legal precedent, right? These native tribes and activists are now just fucking loading the legal system with all these like land claims. So like where do we just say, okay, enough's enough, like it's dude, it's gotten so out of hand here, like the diversity, inclusion, this craziness, like I never thought my country would turn into this. Like,
Hmm.
one thing I could say is I was always proud of Canada because, like, we always had low crime rates. And, like,
Yep.
I grew up, like, we leave our doors unlocked. Like, if I'm walking home at night and it's too late, I can fucking just literally open my buddy's door, sleep on his couch. And, like, this is how it was for us growing up. Like, and then we get to this point where we have massive extortion happening, sexual assaults, like rapes, like women can't even take Ubers or taxis anymore because like they're being fucking sexually assaulted, like driven down dirt roads and raped by like these Indians and migrants we're bringing in here.
Yep.
And like it's just getting out of hand, dude. And it's so gross. Like I never imagined my country would turn into this.
I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that exact same story that
Yeah.
you just told from so many Canadian friends. I know people who are ages like 25 to even 17 to 50s who are like, I didn't even know what graffiti was until the migrants started coming in. Like I've heard that. I was like, we never had graffiti until they started coming in.
Yeah.
And they bring it with them. They bring that off, and that's what a white society looks like. Well, that's what it looks like when you're not push diversity and that just absolute trash. And this multiculturalism keeps moving, and white Canadians are really becoming a minority now in some areas. When do you think white Canadians will be a minority as a whole all across Canada?
Oh, 15 years.
Wow.
Like we're no joke, we're having roughly about like a quarter, like I think this year we had at least a quarter of a million people leave the country.
Do you think all those are white Canadians?
Probably a vast majority. They're seeking refuge either in the United States or they're heading down to South America, like Panama and stuff like that, where it's more affordable and cheaper. Like, when I'm spending, you know, for an 8 foot 2x6, we have trees all over the place, right? Like we mass produce lumber, we mass produce oil. Like we have more oil than the United States, and with our oil sands and everything. And when a 2x4 or a 2x6, sorry, an 8 footer is costing me like $15 for one stick of lumber in a store, like how are we supposed to build housing and supply housing for this mass immigration program?
Mm.
And we can't even keep up because the cost of living, the pricing, like no joke, to go to McDonald's, it's like $20. $20 here in Canada. That's crazy. Like I remember, like, you could go there with pocket change when I was a kid. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
and I use that as an example because, like, you know, when we like like steaks, 3 steaks at Costco, fucking $96, dude.
Woo. That's a
Like
that's a lot.
that's like we're and we literally farm it. But all
Yeah.
these stupid fucking agreements with the European Union, like I'm literally pulling Australian strip loin off my fucking grocery store shelf. I'm all like, Alberta's like literally 2 provinces over. Why the fuck aren't I getting AAA Alberta
Mm.
beef?
Good question.
You
Great
know?
question.
So, and why am I eating an Australian strip loin? And why is it cheaper for them to ship in an Australian strip loin than it is for them to ship a? Well, if you put our carbon tax on top of it, you put on all the red tape and regulation these fucking liberals put in all the time, like so that their buddies can get paid too. Like they have so many hands out down the aisle, right?
Yep.
So, like, if we look from Alberta to Ontario, 3,500 kilometers, and we look at that distance, and like there's hands out all along, that you're paying right down the road. And like that's that liberal system, where they keep paying off their friends. Like it's an elitist system. Like they've slowly melted in communism. And what I hate the most is how they tried to tell us that this is what liberal democracy looks like. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you know who else used to say that? Like the people in World War II. I'm not going to say the name,
I know you're talking about.
but like in the Weimar Republic, that's what they used to say. This is what liberal democracy looks like. We're all communists here, but this is what liberal democracy looks like. And that's a big reason why Roosevelt didn't want to get into the war, is because he didn't like how they were portraying their version of politics as democracy
Mhm.
when it wasn't, right?
Yep.
So he more or less just wanted two combative beings just figuring their own shit out. And yeah, so go ahead, dude. Like I'm probably
No,
rambling
you're
here.
good. That's great. And so I actually had a conversation with someone about this. Around 80% of the population of America didn't even want to get into World War II when it started off. And also, you talk about cattle. Well, Trump also just screwed over a lot of cattle farmers here because during the government shutdown, instead of investing in stupid fly, instead of investing in government cattle ranchers in America, he buys $40 billion worth of cattle in Argentina.
Yeah,
And that
it's
hurts so many cattle farmers. And again, dude, this fly is actually like the devil himself. You're screwing over your own people here. It's the same thing that we have. And you brought up Alberta, and I want to bring up Alberta and Saskatchewan. Where do you see the secessionist movement going with that, and do you support it?
well, okay, so where do I see what? Okay, first of all, I think it's a massive psyop.
Okay.
So I think it's just to capture the very disgruntled people and keep them busy while Danielle Smith and her government continues to work with the globalists to push in the agenda under, like, behind the veil. And like
Okay.
while people are paying attention to, oh, like, oh, we got to separate. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen, at least in my opinion. And two, I think I don't, I don't support it because I'm a nationalist.
Mhm.
I believe we should stay united as a country. I believe we are far stronger as a country if we stay united. And they are our only, even though a lot of them don't even realize that they're kind of more progressive conservatives now, they're our only real version of conservatism left in Canada.
Yep.
So it's like it's a hard pill to swallow, and but I get it. I get it. I lived when I was 19, I went out to Alberta, after 9/11, and like the oil boom was going on. I went and worked in the oil patch. I worked
Wow.
there for 8 years, and then I came home and went back to school. Like, I came back to Ontario.
Mhm.
But yeah, like, I get it. I get, like, their frustration. I get their angst. They're used. Alberta, like, if it wasn't for Alberta, Quebec wouldn't exist, you know,
Mhm.
because of like all the money that's shipped there. So it's like it's it's just crazy to think that we're at this point now where we have Canadians so disgruntled, especially in the West, that they're really ready to just like rip up our flag
Wow. Yeah,
and just make their own state. But yeah, like, it's a touchy thing. I don't agree with it personally. I think that we're better off staying united.
I agree.
Um,
Because once you start splitting up and moving to South America, like, there's a lot of speaker chats and X that talk about Canadian politics. That's how we met. And I hear so many Canadians, like this one guy moved to Mexico and then he was complaining about Canada. It's like, dude, you have no say on what happens in Canada. And the same thing goes for Americans to anybody. When you flee the country and then you sit in your like nice home on the beach in a South American country and you go, man, Canada sucks. Shut up.
yeah.
You're not doing anything about it. And you talk about people ripping up the flag. It seems like tensions are getting higher and higher. Do you think civil war is inevitable for Canada?
Yeah, like, like, honestly, like, you see the tensions rising in the UK. They're using the same
Yes.
formula here.
Burning down migrant hotels. Same thing's
Yeah.
happening in the US.
So it's like, but I think that this is the overall plan across the board. Like, if see, I don't think it's as elaborate as people think, where it's like there's all these people involved, right? I think it's like maybe 200 people that really pull the strings, that have a plan and really know what's going on. And then they use their money, influence, and power to like shift pieces around the board. And like, if we go back to like the Alberta situation, that by Alberta separating, that plays right into the globalist like agenda. Because what's going to happen is then United States is going to come in and take
Gobble
it
it up.
over, right? And like, the whole idea is to like, if we look at like the Hunger Games, for example, like, the whole idea is to create sectors of the world. So like, you remember like the euro, right?
Yep.
The big thing about the euro uniting the European Union, the nation. Well, at that time when that first came out, they were talking about the Amero, right? Uniting North and South America.
Hmm.
But it just faded because like, Americans are just so staunch in their beliefs, and like, they're revolutionaries, and they're like, no, fuck that. Like, America's America.
Yeah.
And then, but what's going to happen is like, Canada's going to play right into this hand, because once you take our oil field away and they become part of America, then you bleed the rest of the country, bankrupt them through tariffs, trade wars, all this kind of stuff. Then we all become one massive, and then, it's part of the globalist agenda.
The
So
dominoes would fall very quickly because I think
yeah,
Quebec would
and
probably follow after that.
yeah, so, and then if we shift back to like civil war, well, that's part of it, right? So that's part of the plan, is like, if they could have civil war, if they can implement civil war in our countries and create complete distrust amongst everybody, then they can start implementing even these stricter like security digital systems that they want to implement, right?
Mhm.
Because people will be so afraid to leave their house because they're not sure if they're going to get shot or mugged or whatever. So then they put the boot down, they send the military in, the UN comes in, they crack down, and they put in a whole system like, the Golden Dome and
Yeah.
Planeteer and all this crazy shit. And like the reality is if you just didn't put incompatible cultures in our societies, we'd be getting along just fucking fine.
I completely agree, and I just did a YouTube video about this Friday. It was like the U.S. and its 1924 immigration policy was literally just like Europeans only, and even like in the Naturalization Act of 1790 that Alexander Hamilton wrote, it was like, what is an American? Because we always like everyone, even in Canada, everyone could be Canadian. This guy Jack Meat or whatever Patel, whatever, he's a Canadian. Well, Alexander Hamilton in the Naturalization Act of 1790 was like white men of good character. That's who an American is. Do you guys have anything like that in Canada to where it's like, this is what a Canadian is? I know
No, like
Mackenzie, your one prime minister during the World War II time, something Mackenzie, I forgot his name. He said something about whites only being Canadian or Canadians can only be white.
yeah, he was definitely he didn't see, here's the thing is um he expressed that Canadian heritage had to remain Canadian heritage, and if you came
Yep.
to this country, you had to assimilate to Canadian culture. And like he was really against like Islam and these sorts of things because like they change society, right? So like these were things that he was staunchly against because once he made it very clear that Canada was a Christian nation.
Mm,
Like, and if you look at like even our legal system, the United States, like when they tell us that it's racist or like white supremacy to say that North
yeah.
America is a white Christian nation or a European Christian nation, or place, it's like, well, all of our laws are based off of Christian values,
Hmm.
right? Like if our laws were built off of Islam, these fucking people extorting and raping women, they'd be killed, right? So like we have this leniency, we have like this innocent till proven guilty, and these are all things that you can find inside the Christian Bible. And I'm not even religious, by any means. I'm not a like I don't practice, like I pray, but I
Yep.
treat it differently. Like I don't go to church or nothing like that, but I know that much, right?
Hmm.
Like I'm not ignorant enough to say that this isn't how the country was built. And I think I think I heard something the other day that was the best explanation is like when these documents were all written, it was just understood, right? So they
Yeah.
didn't have to put in white Christian nationalist, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just understood when they talked about God. They weren't talking about Muhammad. They weren't talking
Mhm.
about, it was understood that we were talking about our culture, our heritage. But now what they do is because it's vague, they use that against us and try to, tell us that, that's not how it works. And it's like, go fuck yourself. Man.
Exactly, and like that's why it's just it's always a loophole. It has to be a tip tap around it. And if Muslims took over and it was up to Muslims what the laws would be, they'd be able to marry a 9-year-old or whatever. But the next
Yeah,
question
yeah,
is because
exactly.
Muhammad's a pedophile. But the next question is, are there Chinese troops deployed in Canada to your knowledge?
Okay, so I don't know if there's Chinese troops deployed in Canada, but what I do know is over COVID, we had some training in the northern part of Manitoba, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And we also had this thing like you guys had that Chinese police station bust in New York City. We have, and they're like under the guise of like charity centers
Hmm.
or whatever. Well, we have those all over the country. And yeah,
Oh
so
gosh.
yeah. So, but they're basically there to monitor Chinese foreign nationals for the Chinese government. Like they have a dragnet system in China, right? So
Okay.
like every photo, everything they do in another country, like it's automatically taken from their phones. And it's goes right into their dragnet system. So like even
Okay.
though they're not there spying, right? They're there spying
Uh-huh.
because like they're just and then they filter everything out. And well, in these systems, like China's had these systems as early as 2006. So it's like, like facial recognition, all this crazy shit that we're starting to see in North America. And like I really believe that Canada, like I think that we have been compromised by China um and India. So they're using India to create like the race war, the on the ground civil war, and they use China for the economic war
Mm.
and and the drug war. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So last big question is, I think it was you who talked about on the speakers chat we were on.
Okay.
Were you talking about the immigration number of immigration officers on the ground in Canada? How many immigration officers do they have for all of Canada?
Okay, so I don't know the exact number of how many all in Canada, but how the immigration services works is we have officers that can detain and make arrests, and then we have agents that work at the borders.
Okay.
Okay. So, from my knowledge, we have roughly about 1,000. Uh, well, this is just what they say, right? In committee, we have 1,000 operating officers, right? But only 500 carry firearms. Okay. So, they're the only ones that can make arrests. Now, but according to inside sources, there's I think 5 inside, and this is a source that I know that worked for the CBSA. He's leaked some information to me
Okay.
that I'm going to be doing a report on.
All right.
Okay. So he told me in the Ottawa office there's all of 4 agents that make on the ground arrests, and 3 of them are out of the office almost all the time. And then in Toronto, there's roughly about 10 armed officers trying to chase down like 30,000 fucking illegals, right? And and the and out of those 5, I think like only like 3 of them are on the ground every day. So like
So
the
nothing gets
this
done.
Yeah, nothing gets done. See, this is the problem with the Canadian government is they fucking lie through their teeth. See, when you're in parliament, how parliament works is like they have total immunity. When they're in chamber, they have total immunity. It's not like the United States. If you go in front of Congress and you fucking lie to Congress and you get caught, like you could go to jail, right?
Yeah, you're cooked, aren't you?
Yeah, but in Canada, you're given full immunity for testimony in the House of Commons. And political representatives also cannot be held accountable for the words they say inside the house.
What?
I'm telling you, dude, they have full immunity inside the house.
That's slime ball to the max, dude. These people are scuzz buckets, man.
You gotta watch. I'll send you a link, man. You
Send it
gotta
to me,
watch.
yeah.
You gotta watch Question Period. And when you see these fucking animals, these pigs, because that's what they are. They're fucking pigs.
Mhm.
Both sides, man. They're just one wants to be the next set at the trough, right? And just repeating themselves and saying this and saying that and like not even answering questions. And like Canadians are
Yeah.
watching it.
You're talking
And
about
it's
the prime minister question stuff, right?
oh yeah, it's
I
like
I do watch that a lot, actually. I do the same thing with the UK, and they just, like, I don't know how it's okay for me to ask you, "What color is the sky?" And you say, "Well, we're helping Canadians everywhere," and then that's just it.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
"Hold
that's
on, man. What's going on?" And we talked about deportations, like, nothing's being done. I quickly looked up just a minute ago how many people were deported in Canada in 2024. it did not give that information to me. It did say in 2023, 7,032 people were deported. That is pathetic. And because you're letting in what 800,000 within the next year. Carney's budget just said that, right?
Yeah, so but keep in mind on top of that, our legal system, they're reducing criminal sentences. So when they go to sentence somebody, they're taking immigration status into consideration when they provide their sentencing, because how it works in Canada is if I guess you're automatically deported if you're like 6 months or more of jail time, right? Like
Okay.
our law system's pretty loose. Like you could kill somebody and be out in 10 years on good behavior, right? So
Goodness. Yeah, it happens here too, man. It's bad.
okay. So anyways, with how this new laws are working, or our new liberal judges, right? Communist judges, is they're taking immigration status into consideration for sentencing. So somebody could be charged with rape, right? And it's, a 2-year sentence, and they'll reduce it down to like, 30 days house arrest,
Oh my
and
goodness.
like then probation for another 3 years, so that the person can stay in the country.
Mm,
And like, well, and here's an idea. Here's another thing you should look up. Out of the students that come here, I think it's like, well, that's the thing, and this is where they lie again. So in committee, the numbers that the conservatives have is that there was 80,000 students that didn't report for school, right? And
okay.
then and then when and then they're all like, well, no, then when they're talking with immigration services about this, and they're like, well, no, it's like more like 47,000. And it's just like, well, still, like they don't have addresses for these people. They don't know where they are, right? We have extortion going through the fucking roof here, like
Hmm.
criminal gangs going through the roof. And we have 47,000 people coming in under student visas, and our government
Whew.
doesn't even know where the fuck they are.
Wow. Okay. So, one big question I do have though, because I know in the UK they have this like retarded system where it's like, oh, well, if you're a student, you can just bring your whole entire family with you too,
Yeah, yeah,
even though they're
dude.
not going to be the ones in school. Is that the same thing in Canada to where like
Yeah,
one
more or
Indian
less,
could bring
dude. Like,
16 people?
yeah, dude, like they can bring their foreign elder parents and grandparents and stuff. It's like, and they're basically with their so it's temporary foreign residents.
Okay. And then
So
they just go AWOL eventually, and the liberal government doesn't know where they are.
yeah, yeah, like, and like you see these guys, like there's one guy here on a student visa. He he never attended school. He was arrested. He was arrested with an illegal handgun in Edmonton, Ontario, or Edmonton, Alberta. They let him back out on bail the next day instead of putting him on a fucking plane and sending him home. And then 2 days later, he committed multiple drive-by shootings, one in Winnipeg, one in southern Alberta, and then he jumped on a plane and flew back home. They don't know where he is.
Oh my goodness, dude. And Alberta's a pretty quiet province, right? It's kind of like a pretty peaceful area. It's not like Toronto or it's not like Ontario, is it?
No, like Alberta's, yeah, definitely a different breed, like, of people, right? Very country living, right? And
Mhm.
like even like the cities, well, until this like communist takeover, but even the cities are very country,
Yep.
like the people are country. At least the white population, they're country, right? And but in Ontario, it's much different. It's like it's well, I live down south here now. We're looking to get back up north, like in
Yep.
northern Ontario. Like we're gonna sell our place here, and hopefully in the spring, and get ourselves a piece of property up north. But yeah, down south here, it's turned into Bangladesh. It's like fucking New Delhi. And then you got a bunch of Muslims on top of that.
Yep.
Um,
Wow.
The crime rates are pretty brutal.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's different.
I talked to someone a few months ago who went back up to Canada for the first time in a very long time, way before 2015. All right.
Mhm.
And I asked this person, I said, how was Canada? And they didn't even look up at me when they said they kind of had their head down, and they said, not the Canada I remember.
Yeah,
And then
dude.
proceeded to tell me that they were the only white person in the entire airport of Toronto. And I believe them. I don't doubt it a single bit. They told me how when they were going through the areas they used to ride their bike as a kid, covered in graffiti, trash, camps everywhere. It's turned into a hellhole of a utopia. And that's how a lot of major cities are in the US as well. And even some low end cities. It's just turned into complete slums because these people don't value our culture. They don't care to even like assimilate. They don't care. They come here, they shove 16 of their cousins, all named Cash Patel or whatever, into a home, and they run it. They just do the 16 people, dude, in one house, and then
Mhm.
they all work at Tim Hortons. You know, like we've all seen those pictures of like this is the team at Tim Hortons, and it's like maybe one white person. If you're lucky, roll the
Yeah,
dice. If you land snake eyes, there might be a white person working there.
yeah, yeah,
It's bad.
it's brutal. It's
Mhm.
brutal. You're like, usually, like, Americans are pretty, like, ignorant when it comes to Canada, like, "Oh, you guys," back in the day, they make these jokes about,
Yep.
like, us living in igloos or whatever, right? Uh, or they would call, like, basically Minnesota, like, little Canada and
Yep.
stuff like that? But like that there, you're not off. Like, this is what it has become.
Mhm.
It's like, and I don't mean you guys are ignorant to Canada. Like, you guys crack jokes, right?
There's a lot of us still are, but
Yeah, well, and we deserve it, right? We keep on voting in weak leaders, and we have, we don't put our national interests, like, here's the reality, like, we should be a world superpower.
100%.
Like, we should be on the level of, like, the United States in terms of being an empire, or even Russia, right? Like, we should be that powerful. And but for some reason, I don't know what's happened to this country. Like, I thought after 9/11, with the oil boom, lumber, like, everything going, like, okay, well, Canada is just going to become a fucking untouchable superpower.
Mhm.
And we just fell into this dystopian nightmare. And it's exactly what you said. It's like, people that don't buy into our tradition, like, our traditions and values, like, they come here to rob us. It's
Yep.
exactly what Don Cherry said. They come here to steal our milk and honey, and then they fuck off and go back home.
Mhm.
You know, and I just posted it this morning. Some Indian guy on Facebook's trying to educate people how they can come to Canada, work, and then go collect like, our Canadian pension plan from India. And he's teaching people how to do it. And, like, what we've noticed is because CRA, like the Canadian Revenue Agency, doesn't require, it's like your IRS. It doesn't require it does not require people to submit proof of life when they're collecting these. So what happens is they
Uh,
put these fucking checks into a group bank account so that the family can still access it. And a lot of times these people have been dead for 10, 15 years, and they're still fucking collecting
wow.
like our Canadian pension plan and our benefits. And
That
it's
happened
just
here
like,
in the US too with
what's
us.
that?
That happened here in the US too. A lot of stuff got uncovered where people were like 116 years old, and that
Yeah.
person had been dead for like 35 years.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh
it's
man, it grows and grows. I keep seeing. I saw a video. Um, I think I may have mentioned this in the chat we were in. Of there was a Canadian MP. He was Indian, and he was standing. It was like a sea of Indians, bro. You wouldn't even know you were in Canada. And he was like, "How dare the Liberal government speak out against the foreign students and say that they need to go back home and they're going to deport them?" And it's like, oh, who are they deporting? One person, one guy gets deported, and then the whole army of Tim Hortons comes after us. It's like it's insane, and I have no
Or fast food.
I
Yeah.
have no animosity or like or I guess dislike towards Canadians or anybody from Europe because we're all in the same struggle right now. Like Australians, New Zealanders, we're all in the same struggle right now of being replaced our own homeland, being persecuted by communists and people who hate our existence. And
Mhm.
that's why it's like we have to drop this thing of, oh, you live like 10 miles north of me? Screw you. I
Mhm.
hope you do get replaced. It doesn't help anything. And a big problem, again, with this Canadian immigration when it comes to the US is Indians are flooding into New England because they're crossing illegally from Canada into the US because our northern border really isn't that defended. Everyone talks about the southern border. The northern border, a lot happens up there too.
Mhm.
I had someone in a friend of mine who was in Vermont for a while, and they said a lot of Indians are up there. A lot of Indians. They're dropping Somalians in Maine. A lot of them are still dumping into the U.S. because if we close our borders, no one's allowed. Well, that means that anyone who lives in Canada who gets there can just cross through a forest or a neighborhood. Like you know how it is. We have neighborhoods that merge from the U.S. and Canada like,
Of
in the
course,
border,
yeah.
and they can just cross that neighborhood like on a bike, just act like a normal citizen and come
Yeah.
across, and they're here. That's it. So
Yeah.
there needs to be more border security, but also needs to be a lockdown of this. And I think you guys are starting to really get moving. I think you guys are about 4 years behind the UK right now. That's my projection. I think what we see in the UK, you guys are going to see that in probably like 2 to 3 years.
You know what I think we should do? Like, I think all these countries like, Germany, uh, the UK, Ireland, Australia, like, you know what? We should just immigrate all the white people here. And then, like, I understand they love their homelands, but just accept that it's lost, and then we'll fight and get it back. Because we would be a lot stronger if we were all united together. And
Okay.
like we build a fucking massive army. And
So
then
what you're
we just
saying is a tactical retreat and then go on the offensive again.
yeah, we just another crusade, baby. Like
I
we
like it.
just you know what I mean? It's like that's
We
that's what something I always thought. Like, England's lost. Like the UK, it's lost.
It's rough, yeah.
Ireland is lost. Like it's way out of control. So you know what? Let's just take them in over here and let's build up our numbers and let's teach these people what happens when you awaken true breaded warriors that have fought for civilization, to build civilization, because
Mhm,
that's another thing is we're so far removed. Like even Canadians, we're so complacent because we're so far removed from like our revolutionary ancestry. So like when you take us away from like it like from the Saxons and like the Vikings, and like that's why the Netherlands, when they protest, they're fucking crazy, dude. Like they tear up the
yeah.
roads, they fucking shoot shit at the parliament, they burn things down. Like
Yeah.
they don't care. Like they're just like they're so wild. Same with Polish, man. Like
Mhm.
they're also nuts. Like because they're so and even America, like I was surprised by January 6th. That was super fucking mild. I thought like shit was gonna pop off. But
I wish.
yeah, but if we look at like how like far removed we are from like that conquering mentality that we've achieved over like like centuries of,
Mhm.
of work that we've done in building civilization. We built it all over the world.
Exactly.
So it's like with like we went to South Africa, we built up South Africa. We went to Australia, we built up we went to parts of South America, we built up that. Like we
Mhm.
built up North America, we built up all of Europe. It's like so that's one thing is like we're complacent, but one thing I do know is like inside our core, inside our souls, we are warriors, and that's why they're attacking us. Like the elites are attacking us, is because these, you look at India and China and all these other countries, they're subordinate. They've been suppressed. They're suppressed people for so long that's why they're moving them in droves into our country, is because when the control systems come into place, they're going to be easily controllable.
Mhm.
What they need is they need to control us, but they know they'll never be able to control us. Do you see what I mean?
Yep, I get
That,
what you're
that's
saying.
kind that's kind of my perspective on it, is because they know we're natural born conquerors, that we always fight against the establishment. You know, you look at France, right? Like, let them eat bread. Well, or let them eat cake. When she said that, what happened to her? What happened to her, right? Like,
Beheaded.
revolution,
I mean, you
right?
still see it today in France. Like when they get pissed off, the farmers come out from the countryside and just dump trash
Yeah,
all
yeah,
in. Which nothing changes. I mean, Paris is like I think it's like 30% of the population of Paris is white. It's a complete hellhole right now. And one big thing about like I do kind of agree with your like tactical retreat is especially like people in South Africa. I mean, seriously. I mean, Orania is great, right? I think we know about that, right? Orania, the all white
yeah,
colony. That's beautiful. Probably the best place to live in South Africa. But I saw a video of a South African refugee who came to America.
yeah,
And he made a video, white South African. And he was like, I came to the US. They gave me a little bit of money. I bought some land in Kentucky. I'm making my own food now. I'm going to engineering school. I'm like, okay, that guy is better than the 100 million Somalians, dude. You could not. You could take a crowd of 100 million Somalians, 100 million Africans, most people from these South American countries, like 90% of them, and you will not find someone like that. That is what we need. That's what we need in Canada. That's what we need in the U.S. That's what we need in the U.K. Because if you have a flood of just the third world come in, and then you have a good flood of these white South Africans who come here and actually like start having kids, integrate into society, they win. I know two South Africans who came here from persecution. They went to Miami, started their own business with their dad, and now they're millionaires.
yeah,
It's that important that we let people like that in the nation. When we let in a Somalian, like or Haitians, right? Haitians are really bad in my state of Florida. They live off the government. Like I think it's like 46% of Haitians are on government benefits. And
yeah.
that's like you're a leech. You are a leech to society. How much crimes do Haitians cause in Florida? Too much. Way more than the native population. It's a leech. It's the same thing with Indians in Canada.
Yeah, there. Well, thanks to Trump's recent order there, that they dropped the temporary protection status on Haiti.
Like
So
395,000 Haitians.
yeah, so they're all getting, and like he said, that they're not compatible with US, and like they're all going to get plane tickets and $1,000 departure bonus if they commit to the self deportation process. Well, where the fuck do you think they're going to go? They're coming here. So like we got to put out protection order on our family pets, our fucking urban wildlife. Like these people like kill our geese in the parks, and like, you know, like,
Yep.
and like the problem is they bring their scams here. Like that's my biggest thing is, like, why come to a country and just, you know, bring your tourist scams, and like, you know, I caught this. I used to live like in the city. I bought a place outside the city, but I used to live inside the city, and I used to go to this corner store. And this Indian kid always like, it was a rough neighborhood, lots of drug addicts,
Yeah.
all that kind of shit. So this Indian kid what he used to do was, when he received a cash payment from these bums, right? He would keep that, but he wouldn't ring it through the till, like he wouldn't out it, right? So that when I came to the till and I put my stuff on there, he's charging me again for that pop or that Gatorade or that bag of chips that homeless drug addict bought. And then his till balance is out. He takes the fucking money and puts it in his pocket. This is a tourist scam, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is like 3, 4 times this fucking guy did it. And I just like embarrassed him every fucking time he did it. I just humiliated him publicly. And then after a while, I noticed one time I was in there, one of the homeless drug addicts like, "You guys still fucking stealing from people?" Like it just became known that these Indians were just stealing from everybody. And it's like, if you're going to come to a country, why are you bringing your scams with you? Right? Like,
They're the third world. That is what the third world is.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like you have opportunity, you know, take advantage of that opportunity,
Mhm.
right? And they don't what they do is they take advantage of our kindness. They take advantage of our, you know, you guys are a little bit different down there. You know, we don't have, you know, strict laws like you guys have. We don't have you know, open carry, and you know, we're a little bit more strapped down here, which makes it easier for them to implement communism, right?
Like the emu situation.
Yeah.
That was. Do you want to speak on that a little bit, and then we can wrap it up? That emu
Which one's
situation.
that? Sorry.
Was that the one to where it was like the government was going to slaughter a bunch of emus on this woman's farm,
Oh, the
and they were
fucking ostrich thing.
the
Oh,
ostrich?
dude.
Okay, the ostrich. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, dude. Like honestly, like I didn't pay much attention to that because like I think that's like bread and circus, right?
Hmm.
Like I think that there's like a whole backstory to that people don't know about, and like I'm not gonna get into it,
Okay.
but like these people that own that farm, they were sued quite a bit by people, and like they're starting to say like some of the science they claim they have, like it's not true. Like they created,
Okay.
and this was like a social media grift that like caught a lot of attention, and like, but that's just like, again, I've looked at both sides of it. I stayed the fuck out of it, dude, because like when my government's burning my country to the ground, like I'm sorry, man,
That
but
ostrich can die.
ostriches are on the fucking bottom tier, dude. You know,
How about
it's
we?
like,
If we kept the ostriches alive, right? This is the plan. This is how we save Canada. All right, America has to step in. We get the bums who hate the scammers, the crackies, and we take the ostriches, and we put them on a battlefield with the Indians, the Bangladeshis, the Pakistanis, and they just have a mass charge at each other. And whoever wins wins.
oh yeah, well the fucking they'll all just like eat the ostriches. Like,
What about the crackheads though? The crackheads
yeah.
will prevail.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, because yeah, they'll all the other people get bird flu. The
Yeah,
crackheads will be
16
just,
needles in the neck and just like full
yeah,
sprinting.
yeah, just
But
scurrying around the bush looking for crack and a different. But yeah, dude. Yeah, I didn't subscribe to the ostrich thing.
mhm,
Like, honestly, we got so many fucking problems. Like the Bill C9, C63, like
yep.
they want to put people in jail for 20 years for mean words, dude.
What about someone who rapes somebody who gets like 11 months?
Yeah, that's like you destroy a woman's life or a
Mhm.
child's life, but you want to give somebody 20 years in prison for saying mean words on the internet that you don't agree with. Like saying like transgender people are mentally ill. Like that, if those bills pass, that can land you 20 years in jail. So it's like, because how they're restructuring the, like, because we do have hate speech laws,
Mhm.
but it's based off of how they're restructuring it, is they're making it subjective.
Yep.
So like somebody could just say, well, I feel and I believe that was there to hurt me, where you
Okay.
actually, right now, how it sits is you have to provide burden of proof that this person's words created so much harm that it, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. So we have something like that similar in Florida. And we actually, I know, right? We like the First Amendment, but we have something very similar in that with Florida, but it's only against one group of people.
Yeah. You know,
It, we
yeah,
can't criticize Jews in Florida. You get arrested if you do that, and you can criticize everyone else. You can literally hate on everybody else, but
I
as soon as
know.
you criticize Jews, you're done. And that's a big thing in Florida. I don't know how many other states it's really passed. I think it's passed in a few, but
Yeah, it's
I
like
think
that.
that's retarded. I mean, I don't care who. Listen, I I give everyone hell, right? Everyone's catching a stray from me. Everyone's gonna catch a bullet, at least. Not literally. Please, government, don't strike me down. But I mean, everyone's gonna catch some hate from me just because that's who I am. We can punch each other back and forth, but you're telling me you can punch me, and that's okay. But when I punch you back, you cry to government and say help me, and then I get 20 years in freaking prison, and I have to join some like Aryan Brotherhood to survive.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Yeah, it works that way here with the big J's.
Yep.
Um, they reign supreme, I think, around the world.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, man, I'm kind of blown away by it, to be honest.
Mhm.
I just don't like how I don't like how they can, like, here's an example, like all these hate crimes we're seeing this spike in Canada of hate crimes. What was the fucking Jews that were campaigning for the Muslims to come into Canada, right? Like
Exactly.
it was the Canadian Jewish Congress that was helping them with, the Islamophobia bill and
Mhm.
like immigration. And then you're wondering why your church or your synagogues are getting spray painted, and like, people are pissing on them, and we have these Palestinians like in the streets, like
Mhm.
wanting to fight the Jews, like, but then the way they have these like NGOs, like the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, which is like equivalent to your like ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center,
Yep.
or like the anti-hate, or what is it, the hate bias extremism. They're all just saying it's white supremacy that's behind it.
Of course. That's always
And
the name because
and
that's who
like
they hate.
I'm like, Canada never had a problem with white supremacy. Like, in
No.
fact, a lot of black people fled the United States to come to Canada, you know?
How many
So,
crosses were burned in Canada?
not a lot. Like, the KKK had a small presence in the early 1900s, but the RCMP got rid of them right away.
And that's no problem. But the thing is, we're gonna have to probably bleep. We're gonna say juice. We're gonna have to like, actually bleep that out because we'll get wrecked by YouTube. But we'll just refer to them as they. They love being victims. They love being victims so much, and that's
They
like
create problems too,
they
though.
do, and especially for us because then we have to deal with it, right? They're gonna
Yeah,
sit back in Boca Raton and the nice side of New York City where they have their own police department, and they'll
yeah.
sit back and they'll sit comfortable. We have to live in a minority city, and the Book of Revelation said it best, man. Those who call themselves Jews are not Jews; they're actually part of the synagogue of Satan. That's what they are. They're a part of the synagogue of Satan, and I think their day is coming. Netanyahu said that Rome will pay for what it did to the Jews. That's what Netanyahu himself said just a few weeks ago. I mean, that rabbi said to Tommy Robinson's face, who's a shill, he's probably working for Mossad. That rabbi said to Tommy Robinson's face, the British people have a special place in hell for what they've done to the Jews. And Tommy Robinson just sits there like a good boy. Yes, Master Rabbi.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. You people are disgusting disgraces to the whole world. We need to send these people to Mars. If we ever get life on Mars, send those people there first. They can figure that out. These people throw us under the bus every chance they can get. They don't care. This sympathy for the Jews is oh man, it's getting bad. The sympathy for these people is dying out quick though. It's dying out quick, and especially in America, and that's why they're really trying to get a hold of it. I mean, but they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to.
That's what's interesting is like Canada always seems to be like 4 or 5 years behind the United States in the media cycle. And you see this America First movement growing,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And it's like it's getting massive. And like you see, like, I don't even think MAGA is gonna exist much longer. I
No.
think I think it's pretty much peaked. It's done. Like you're gonna have a few like I don't know QAnon followers or
Mhm.
whatever still thinking Trump's talking to him from a watchtower or
Those guys are
whatever.
gay.
Yeah, like to me, I think it like these some of these guys are pretty smart and that they
They are.
can't
I
see
agree.
how like a fucking psyop works is
Mhm.
like you know is I don't know, but well, I don't want to get into those fucking guys, but
Yeah, it's pitiful. I agree with you.
yeah, so I see the America First movement, and you see like people are like, we're tired of Israel. We're
Mhm.
tired of this victim blaming bullshit. We're tired of like being called white supremacists. We kept our mouths shut for so long, and people have just had it. Right
Yep.
now, what I'm seeing here in Canada is we have a lot of conservatives, like especially like the Pierre Polyev like tribal group that really simp for Israel and the big J's and it's just like you know it's like when I make a post about like the Palestinians, everyone's all talks and I'll just reply in the comments. I was like, no, they're fucking crooks too, man. Like
Yeah.
this is like I can what happened to me being objective and just saying they're both pieces of shit,
Mhm.
right? What happened to that? Like we're not allowed to do that. Like we have to our ideologies have to be framed about picking a side on something or like no, no. But here's one thing I do see from like the Gaza perspective is like these people are born into slavery, right?
Yep.
And if you or I were born into slavery, which, technically we are through like social insurance
The
numbers and
Zog
debt.
machine. The Zog
Yeah,
machine. That's what we're
yeah,
enslaved to.
through big J debt, right?
Yeah.
So technically we are, but it's a different type of slavery.
Mhm.
But people grow tired of that, and there's revolution that happens, and you know, and I think you have to look at the situations for what they are. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think, like, I think Islam is evil as shit. Like,
100%. Yep.
like it's incompatible with Western civilization. It's more or less communism in religious format. It's just
Mhm.
it doesn't belong here, right? And and when they try to tell you it's peaceful and
I'm so tired of hearing that. It's just like,
dude,
shut your mouths, dude. That's why rape cases go through the roof everywhere they go.
yeah, well, in their own book, it tells them that to lie to us,
Yeah.
right?
And same thing with the Talmud though. Same thing with the Talmud. And like they hate our existence and that's why they just shouldn't be tolerated here. And like I understand the sympathy and like the people who care for the people in Gaza. I understand that. But hey, like we are becoming a minority in our own country.
Yeah, like
I
that's
feel like
not
that's
our
more
problem.
important than whatever's going
Yeah,
on in Gaza. We can handle that later, but you got to understand, like, you're not making a difference protesting every week at a Free Palestine rally. It does not make a difference, and I feel bad for those people in Gaza. But I'm becoming a minority in my own home, and that needs to change. I
yeah.
can't stand the way things are going, and this MAGA stuff. Like I was just talking to some people today, and they all agree a endorsement from Trump right now is bad because this Epstein and Israel stuff has been biting him. His ankles are sore. He's been getting bit so much. He can't handle it. And that's why, this is how it goes. Oh, a new candidate's running. Let me look him up on APAC track.
Mhm.
How much money you receive from APAC? That's been a big thing in Florida right now. The recent
Yeah,
candidates start running. $121,000 from APAC. We have some candidates who have received millions upon millions upon millions.
yeah.
These people are the scum of the earth, and they hate us, bro.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not voting anybody's. And I see. Like I saw Pierre tweet a few months ago about like Jewish hate and how we have to stop it. It's like, hold on, Pierre, where were you born? Are you a minority there now? That's what I'd
Oh,
love to ask.
have you ever heard his speech at Jewish Congress when he called himself a good goy?
No way.
Oh yeah, dude. I'll fucking dig it up for you. I'll send it to you.
Please dig that up. I will definitely. We gotta
Yeah,
look
no,
that up.
he basically told a room full of Jews that he was a good goy. So it's like he said he was a good goy from the prairies. So it's like they and there's like rumors that like Melissa Landsman, his right hand, the dyke there.
Yep.
She's Jewish, right? So
Okay. Yep.
it's like, it's dude, there's rumors that Israel's got that whole office captured.
Yeah, it's
So
just local elections are the most important thing. I keep telling people this. If you cannot make a change nationally, but if you start on your local elections, you could wiggle some room in there and maybe get a ball rolling. And I think one big thing, like I think we talked about this, is start your own communities. Like
yeah,
we saw in America, Eric Arwal started it. And dude, he has a city councilor on his side. I mean, it's pretty interesting how his group is moving. We did that show with him. Me and Nectarius did that show with him about a month or two ago. That was phenomenal, and I would love to see that all across the world. They're happening in the UK, they're happening in Germany. They're being, I think, one's working in France right now, a different group, but we need to see it in Canada too. We need to see it in
yeah.
Canada. People need to take care of themselves. But I mean, dude, there could be a Indian grape gang, right? Who is destroying society. And then there could be you and 50 other white people living out in the middle of nowhere, not hurting anyone. And the Canadian government will come after you before they do the gang.
That's the problem,
Hmm.
right? And like the thing is we have so many northern towns in, like, even just here in Ontario, that are basically abandoned because they used to be old mining towns, and like the mining industry has slowed down. And you know like it is possible for us to like take over an entire fucking town, right?
That's awesome.
It takes commitment from a group of people that go there with an agenda, man. And
Hmm.
like you think about um you think about how the world works right now with the internet and that sort of thing. It's viable to have a fully sustainable town selling products internationally. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you localized farming, because
Hmm.
like when you have control of municipal laws, you could turn around and just like you could be like, oh well, we're going to turn the other way. We're going to create this law so that it vetoes this federal like restriction on like selling apple or from in this market. And like, you know what I mean? Like there's
Hmm.
so many ways around it. And yeah, man, I'm a firm believer that that's what we need to do. And once we show people that it can be built, then more people will want to be part of that, and more white people will reconnect with their white identity.
Yep.
And like, because dude, tell me it's fun to go to a bar now. Like I'm 42 now, but tell me it's fun to go to a fucking bar at 20 years old or 21 or whatever, and like, there's like 15 Indian guys trying to rub up on a fucking white girl. Like,
Yeah.
tell me it's fun, dude. Like, it's not. Like, it's not the same, right?
Mhm.
This new generation that's getting fed this, they're going to be fucking way worse than us.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be way worse because they're going to be the victims of it, right?
Hmm.
Like I'm not sure how old you are now. Like, what are you,
I mean,
20
I,
or
I just turned 18 like a month
you
ago.
just turned eight? See, dude, your generation, you guys are going to be fucking crazy, man. Like, there's like I have massive hope because you guys are going to carry the torch, and then like I just had my first daughter born in like the generation of alpha, and I believe
Mhm.
that that will be the generation that takes it all back.
I hope
Like,
so.
because like we need us to start, we need you guys to fucking keep it going, and then
Yep.
we need alpha to fucking take it all back,
Well, I
you
mean,
know.
like when you talk about these towns, it's like I think if Gen Z and your generation, millennials, and on to maybe some Gen X could work on these towns, and then that could be passed down to Alpha to where not only they can sustain these, but also expand and grow and grow and grow. And
Yeah,
I think, like, listen, I'm from the South, man. If Southern secession happened again, that'd be great. And the
yeah,
reason I believe that is because the federal government is still going to be a foot on our neck whether the Zog is in or not. And secession would help a lot. But
yeah,
I guess the big point here is it's so important that we do not make excuses to not have kids. I hate when people sit there and go, have kids in this economy? Yeah, have kids in this economy because
Yeah,
these are the people who are going to change it. Raise them right, give them some will and hope, tell them who they are, tell them who their ancestors were. My
that's right.
ancestors fought in the Confederacy, the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812. They sailed across the sea to get to America, and now they're here, and now I'm here. Do I want to make a difference? Do I want to carry on what they had? Or I want to throw it all away and be a good goy like Pierre
Yeah.
and everyone
Yeah.
else in my freaking government who sucks and they hate me and they hate all of our existence? That's who we need to be like. We need to strive for will. Our will must be greater than their will, and our hope can never, ever, ever be destroyed. Because if it does, then we lose. Then you just lose, and it's all over. It's all over. But
Beautifully said. Yeah. No, I agree.
I appreciate you coming on, man. We're coming up on like an hour and 30. I know we said we wrapped up a little bit ago, but it's been great talking. This is great.
Well, I appreciate your time and thanks for having me, dude.
Of course, we'll film a quick outro and then we can wrap it up.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thank you for watching episode whatever. Shoot, I just butchered that. I need to figure out what episode this is. I'm my bad. I'm awful at this. Me and my buddy started this podcast like a month ago just because we want to get more politically active. But I appreciate you coming on. Seriously, man, I really do.
No, I love being here, dude.
All
No,
right.
it was good.
So thank you for watching the 5th episode of the Rising Right podcast. I hope you guys loved the video and you will like and subscribe. You'll find my social media in the description, and also where can we find you, Jason, our Wiretap, even though your stuff will probably be linked in the description.
Yeah, so you can or find me at Wiretap Media CA. So that's my Twitter handle, and then you can find me at Wiretap on Facebook, Wiretap on YouTube, and right now that's all I got. I'm just focusing on those three, and I'm going to be more active with political commentary and coming on podcasts and that sort of thing. So I'm sure you'll see me around.
All right. And I thank everyone for watching. I'll see you guys shortly. We got some big guests coming on soon, so stay tuned. Bye.